Doing TV.
That works. You want to say your name for me?
Roger Pilney.
Can you spell that for me?
Roger. Last name is Pilney.
And your title is Radix House.
I'm CEO and founder of Radix House.
And when did you guys establish 2020? But when? And give me a little bit of background.
Man, so we mentioned a little bit earlier. We were talking about seeing the news. So it was a year ago this month. I was walking through the living room, and on the big TV I see this nurse, and she has her mask off. I see the lines in her face, and I see her eyes, and it was a real disassociation. If you're not familiar with some of the terminologies, and when you have anxiety or PTSD, and a lot of people will disassociate dealing with immense amounts of stress, trauma, whatever. And sort of or the term sometimes also called went numb, right? And I had this feeling of relatability to this person that I had never met, and it just looked familiar, and it looked like I felt. And during that time, we're all trying to figure out a year ago how to mask up. How can I go to the grocery store? I have a mother who's older and was in the worst demographic, right, that could catch it, and I'm trying to help, with her and in my own PTSD and stuff going on. I felt so isolated, and I felt powerless. And then I'm seeing other people though on TV, and I'm thinking, oh wow, this lady is a nurse in an ER. Watching these people drowned in their own body fluids from a virus. I'm like, oh my God. And I just clicked, I was in recovery community for many years. We watched a lot of people come in as the state government changed their mechanisms, and we would cut funding, and then we'd see busloads of people coming in with mental health issues outside of the drug or alcohol particular 12-step group they might be in. And so I'm like, okay, so this is the biggest thing ever happened in my life, and many people, this virus. And the panic, the anxiety, just being out in public with it. You heard me mention earlier about children growing up, being told wash your hands over and over again. The fear, the panic in their parents. You don't have to say, little Johnny, you're gonna die if you don't wash your hands. The anxiety alone, children, pets, people pick up on. And now you go 6 months or a year of telling your little kid to wear the mask, wash your hands, and oh, now you're fine. Like, my parents they're crazy. What's wrong with them? How am I ever gonna be like a normal kid? I missed a whole year of school, and now you're telling me everything's fine? Be afraid, everything's okay. So I knew that for me, I had an opportunity to empower myself by trying to be helpful. And I used to do it by just posting on Facebook, hey, this has helped me, and this thing worked for me, and this therapy helped me. But I'm like, this is much bigger than my few hundred friends. I'm like, you can do more. I'm like, what can you do? Like, you're from a marketing background, you got social media skills, and I wanted to move. Like, I'm born and raised in Austin, Texas. For better or for worse, I've always been proud of where I live. Until I got to a place where the state I lived didn't want to help me get the medicines I need. If any of your viewers have never experienced the crushing weight of anxiety that comes from a panic attack and PTSD, good for you. But for all those of us that survive those things, sometimes day in and day out, hour by hour at times, and we just want relief, this CBD and cannabis and all this conversation, for us, it's life or death. It isn't a matter of I'm going to go party on Saturday. It's a matter of, can I function as a good parent, as a good friend, as a good employer? Can I get along in society? Can I feel like a normal human being today? When somebody asks me, how are you doing today, can I finally honestly answer them, I'm doing fine, and mean it? The argument about this plant-based stuff, I was one of those people that lived in a place of ignorance for much of my adult life. Being in a recovery community, treatment centers would always inundate us with the misinformation of CBD, cannabis, cannabinoids, whatever, were gateways to total destruction. I still haven't drank in decades, no interest in it. My body tells me when panic comes on, and I used to think it was so stupid. I was one of those people like, oh God, overly used PTSD term. Oh, everybody's got trauma from every little thing. Oh my God. Until it was me. You know, part of my daily waking up is I feel like I'm making amends for the stupidity that used to roll out of my mouth. You know, I used to be that arrogant, big, stupid Texan that told you macho stuff. You know, I don't need any of this stuff. I still do it. I'll sit there and be in this moment of mental health crisis where I broke my hand punching something, no idea why, just wanting to feel like a normal human being. And rather than try CBD or smoke a pre-roll or whatever, I will stubbornly struggle through it. Because that's what society wants us to do, is just, man, I'm so glad you suffered through that. Congratulations. You suffered through like a champ. Oh, you did dental work with no anesthesia. You gave birth without any pain meds. You're a hero. The more pain you can endure, somehow you get awards in our society. But I can tell you, as somebody who's been in recovery for as long as I was, to live in the last few years of that, being suicidal every day, going to therapy twice a week, taking medications that make me gain 30 or 40 pounds, ruin your love life, ruin your mental health. You can't sleep. You don't use the bathroom normally. But the society around you is okay because it's not cannabis. I'm okay if you have hemorrhoids from opioids, but heaven forbid you don't have a panic attack today. When we talked on the phone, my biggest fears for people is, for right now, you remember we talked Delta 8, but you also have CBD, which is already a law around it. And the CBD law that's being challenged since I started this business was a smokable hemp ban. Now, if you don't understand how these medicines, for me, that's what they are, work, then you may not understand how cutting that delivery mechanism impairs the potential patient. And it does that by, if you have a pre-roll, as we have here, that's the fastest form of ingestion of this type of product, right? I'm in a panic attack. I don't need an edible or a tincture that could wait 10, 20, 30 minutes, an hour. I'm in the middle of an emotional, mental health crisis. I could take anxiety pill, let's say diazepam or Xanax, and overdose easily. Or I could take a pre-roll, smoke it, and it hits me instantly. It calms me down, slows things down. We recommend to our customers you take a two-prong approach. If you're having a panic attack, you need to ingest something that works quick, and that is a smokable. And if you ban that, then all you leave left to your customers is either a black market cannabis or edibles that don't work fast enough, and they will assume don't work at all. Because in the middle of a panic attack, time doesn't seem to work like normal. Everything takes forever. Please just make this stop. Please make me feel okay. Please make me not feel crazy. Why hasn't this medicine worked already? Somebody help me. If you've ever been on that moment of just pure panic, you just want to feel okay, and some government official that knows nothing about how this medicine works thinks it's just in their best interest to outlaw a particular way to ingest it. Not the product, but we don't want to smoke it because little Timmy might start smoking cigarettes, but we haven't outlawed cigarettes. For goodness sakes, we just legalized to-go alcohol. I'm an alcoholic. I've been in recovery from alcoholism for decades. You're going to legalize DW, I mean, to me, you're basically saying, sure, drink and drive. There's so much that we saw in AA of people coming in there all the time getting pulled over alcohol. Now you made it legal for people to take to-go alcohol and put it in their car and drive with it. But at the same time, you're also trying to pass legislation that bans a smokable version of what I can get over here because of, one, there's supposedly a fear of people lead to smoking cigarettes, which I think is baloney. If they had a fear of smoking cigarettes, outlaw the cigarettes. Stop. Don't regulate them. Just get rid of them. Can't, won't. So you got a problem with that. They don't want to address the hemp stuff, and they don't want to they don't want to understand how it works in the body chemistry because they think it's going to make people either do more drugs or they think it's going to make people smoke cigarettes. I think it's all just misinformation. I can't say from where it comes from, none of my business. My job in this business, and if you read our reviews, it talks about a community that we're building. We're building a community to help with proper information, to disseminate information that's hopefully the most current and is based on people's true experience and not spun by an article publisher or a big interest of some kind. If you look at our 160 reviews we got across platforms, we have a 5-star review, but they look at them, you talk about the community element, the education they got, the first time somebody's been able to sleep in 3 years, that their dog doesn't hurt, that they have gotten rest, that they don't have restless leg syndrome, that the neuropathy in their arms and their feet doesn't bother them anymore. Read them. That is the information that supposedly does not exist out there, that this stuff doesn't work. It does. We've been open 6 months, 150 5-star reviews saying that this is what people have been craving during the pandemic, to connect, to be a part of community, something bigger than them. You know why I know that? We had that ice storm here, right? That was February. We've been open from October 31st to February, the second week of February. We had water delivered, we had stocked our truck, and we shut down for the ice storm. But when we opened, we had a generator and we had water. We were the only coffee shop open, but and you couldn't get milk. You couldn't get supplies. And I made a post to our neighborhood group over here saying, hey, I'll be okay. At the time I was working my 2 jobs. I just quit my day job a few weeks ago to go full-time doing this. Although I still don't pay myself, but I needed to focus on it. And I said, hey, I'm worried about my team members. We're going to be been closed for a few days. My ABC streets were here. They're like, well, how do we help? And I'm like, just be generous to them when you come by. You know, I'm fine. They said, well, what's your Venmo? And I said, well, here it is. I saw $50 come in that says for your team. Oh, cool. So I went over and swiped my card and put it right into the, here you go, guys. And another $50, and another $50, and another $50, and another $50, $500 a day in tips. Just for the team. And I'm like, man, y'all are incredible. I was in tears. I was overwhelmed seeing the support. And I'm like, but we're out of milk. And I sat out of milk and I see these cars pulling in 2 gallons, 2 gallons, 2 gallons. They were buying their limit. They were driving and wherever they could in town because they needed that connection. They needed this to survive. I thought we were dead. Instead, we had 6 days of the only coffee shop being open around here because we had water and we had electricity. And I saw our community just like pour out here with resources and money and milk and stuff we needed to help stay together. I have not seen anything like that. I was in branding and marketing for a long time. I've not seen people attach or connect or resonate with something so fast, and it's so satisfying. But we as a collective small little company are terrified of people losing their resources. People losing the ability to use smokable hemp because of closed-minded thinking. 37 states, I believe, are at now have some type of legalization for cannabis. And yet we're still fighting over CBD and what can be okay. CBD. I have drank 8,000 milligrams of CBD. Took a nap. Woke up 3 hours later and had lunch in San Marcos. You cannot, look at the camera, overdose. There's no proof of it anywhere in existence. Yet we are right now, people like myself, concerned about misguided misinformation getting into somebody's ability to change a law. I have PTSD from coming across friends, mostly my PTSD, some of it from childhood, but the adult stuff was from finding my friends in recovery dead, who committed suicide, and cleaning those up. And for many years, my brain, I felt like, oh, I'm invincible to all this trauma. I'm the guy to call. You need me at the hospice? I'll be there. You need to make an announcement that this person died? I got it. Funeral? I can do it. You need me to do the eulogy? No problem. I'll be there on my birthday. I'm there for everybody's trauma until it was one too much. You know, when you're at 25 years sober and you're the only one in that room of 100 people that has that long, it's terrifying. It's scary. I'm sick of watching my friends die. And what I got to with this decision was I called my lawyer, Lisa Pittman, to save my life. She was very instrumental in a lot of the legislation stuff here. You know, leader, her title I think is like, what's she called? The First Lady of Cannabis or something like that. And I remember calling her saying, I'm terrified of going to jail for selling CBD. I know I live in a conservative state, but I also know if I don't do something, I will feel like I could have. And I said, I just sold everything I own. Everything I had in inheritance, I just closed out my 401k. I sold everything. And I'm gonna buy this business and I'm scared to death. But if I don't do something, I will die from my own mental illness, from this PTSD that wants me to die. It still does. I spent the better part of last week in a really bad mental health state because of I got triggered and I couldn't get out, and I'm like, why? And again, like I said earlier, I wouldn't let myself use the medicine for some reason. Maybe because I've heard all my life that I was gonna, you know, you'll destroy everything. And maybe part of that still, I don't know. But until I finally sat down and I started using it, like, oh, I feel fine now. Like, why I'm the owner of this business and I'm still resisting? If I'm still resisting, what about the people out there who have never even given it a shot? But I promise you this, when you visit Radix House Coffee Shop, we're a little slower on the line on purpose. You're getting an education. Fast food coffee's across the street. Beautiful spot, everybody has a place in this market. But when you come here, our goal is to try to understand what's going on with you. We can't diagnose, we can't prescribe, but I can relate. I can say, you know, in my experience, what I've seen, or hey, here's a 9-page brochure we have on CBD. We got this great content. Go have a seat over here, look through what we have, and then maybe when one of the owners comes by or when we have a moment, we'll come sit down with you. We can make some recommendations on products based on our experience or what they say on the bottle. And then you can come back to us and let us know. We can try to help you navigate it. But it's hard because we cannot say we can't promise anything. We can't promise anything. I can just promise you I've not found any literature that says anyone's overdosed. I can promise you that this is only based on very little things, and I promise you. Everything else got to be very specific to my experience. I wish they would regulate some of these things so we could get more data on it. We've been open 6 months and we've served over close to 40,000 customers. I have data and I have reviews and I have really interesting information now that really supports my life experience of the people in line here. You can't tell one person to the next whether they use CBD or Delta 8 or they don't. You don't know what they come here for, but you know they're standing in line. You know they love bringing their dogs and their little kids, right? I have an 8-foot hemp leaf on a mural behind me here. Yet I can't tell you how many people have brought their kids, their dogs, their family, grandparents to the grandkids. They all connect in some way in their own generation, to their own time, to this place. If you look at our social media, we do the effort to try to connect personally through the brand like it's its own entity. You know, if you go to the Alamo Draft House, and I love that place, and I'm so grateful that it's staying open and it's hopefully going to be doing well again. But I love it in the movies, and they go through generational stuff and different timelines that attach to whatever movie you're watching. And we share some of those same strategies because I want people to feel a connection to their own personal relationship with that leaf and that plant and become advocates for the information we share. We look at it like this: every person, whomever that comes to buy coffee, if we don't provide them good information, if we don't give them a good experience, if they buy CBD like most places, like they go to the gas station, they buy 350 milligrams of CBD, oh, that's so much. Well, what they don't know is that that's total bottle, and you have to divide that by 30, and it's really probably not enough for a small pet. So they think the product sucks, CBD doesn't work, and then therefore they tell their friends CBD is the snake oil. Our job here is to provide you the right education so you get some results. Like, I can almost guarantee you that when you smoke a pre-roll, that is the absolute best way to show that CBD does work, because it's instant. Your body will stop using it once you've had enough. You'll set it down, you'll be talking, wow, I haven't had a drag off this anymore. I know 2 puffs is perfect, or I want the whole thing. Your body will tell you. It's inexpensive to try it. Then you go and buy the gummies, and then you can give yourself a pathway to some empowerment. That conversation wasn't given to me when I was in California. I had the same bad experience where somebody gave me too much of a product, and I had a bad experience with it because the person working there just sold me too much. There's a competitor here in town. I do secret shopping, and I listen to their salesperson say, yeah, this Delta 8, you should have this much of it, and I use this much. And I'm like, oh my God, the guy just told you he's never used THC in his life, and you just gave him 5 times what I would. That's the problem. If we keep giving bad information, and that gentleman goes home, uses that product, has a bad experience, posts online, I went to this place, and this product's horrible, and I had this massively bad experience, and I wasted this money, all those negative comments resonate. And we have to work really hard to unwind those negative comments. How am I going to ever expect your listeners and viewers to get behind us and advocate if they have one friend at every 3 that's talking about how it's a mess, it's a waste of money, and you can't blah, blah. We work hard to teach the best we can within the legal parameters that we have. I wish our state would lead the way. We have so much opportunity here from resources and farming and infrastructure and the highway system. We have so much we could do here as Texans. Well, we're behind Oklahoma, and we're behind Louisiana. When you're behind everybody around you, you start going, man, come on now. Oklahoma's trying to figure out a way, from my understanding, to allow Texans to buy cannabis from their state and come back here. Everybody's, if nothing else, figuring out a way to generate revenue from this thing. If you can't get behind it for the medicinal values, the psychological, mental health values, then use your greed to lead the way. I don't care. Just get it moving, because people like me are desperate. I've had probably 6 suicide attempts in my life until I found this stuff. You know how scary it is to feel like that somebody could just sweepingly knock away your only thing that saves your life? And my business and these people's jobs out on a whim? Because they're afraid that little Johnny might pick up Marlboro Reds. Has nothing to do with me. If you read all the literature about CBD and smoking cessation, how it stops people from smoking cigarettes, come on. Alcohol withdrawal symptoms reduces that. There's so much upside that we do have science on now, because it is legal in enough states that we are finally starting to see results. We are finally seeing data. But I live in a state that's still desperately trying to live in 1950. Desperate. We've generated a lot of revenue. I won't say on camera how much, but I can say it was a lot for this city and this state, and our employees make 3 times the average of anybody in town in this type of role. There is proof that there's demand here. We are creating jobs. We have 12 employees. We've been open for 6 months. Everybody makes a very livable wage here. We're opening our 2nd location on 6th Street. I'm born and raised, lived in this neighborhood all my life. I'm talking to the politicians out there that don't understand that there's a movement, and I see it by people's dollars, that they need and want this product. People like me that are generating businesses that create the amount of revenue that we're doing could easily pack up this stuff and take it to a state that will support us. They'll support the business model, they'll support the mental health, they'll get behind us. Their politicians would show up at my parking lot and be on the same camera talking about how we're behind these people because we need to do something right now. That's my urgency. I wake up every morning with a sense of urgency. If I don't get this truck working, somebody could die. That may sound very dramatic to somebody that has no experience with what I've lived through. But the person watching me knows what I'm talking about, that's lived through panic attack, and knows that feeling of, oh my God, please help me, please help me, please help me. If you've ever been stuck in a panic attack loop, rocking on the floor, asking somebody either to shoot you or help you, then you don't understand. And personally, I'm sorry, they have no position to tell me whether I can have my pre-roll or not, because I'm trying to stay alive so I can be a dad to my kids, or an employer to these people, or a good steward of the property in which I rent to have this space. It's frustrating. To me, I'm fighting a fight for my mental health and my life, and the people out here that will walk up to my counter today and say, I'm feeling fine, and everybody like, please help me, please help me, please help me. I was there in September in California a few years ago, at a dispensary, ready to kill myself on a work training trip. I had everything going for me in life. My kids, the relationship, the job was great. And I just couldn't stop fantasizing about driving my car off into the trees. I get a product that makes that stop, and somehow I'm a bad person. But I could go right now to this liquor store and buy gallons of tequila, get ripped, snorting drunk, throw up everywhere, cough up blood. Eh, well, he's just being a real crazy guy. He's just a wild Texan. Man, I am hopeful but scared for my own safety, my mental health. It scares me. It scares me because I know people right now that have come to me that have been in recovery for decades who are finally willing to try these products out of absolute terror that their community might find out and shun them for it, because of the way we make people look who try to use these products. I've seen people withdraw from heroin using these products. I've seen people withdraw from meth using these products. I've watched it in my community of recovery. The stuff y'all don't see out there if you're not involved in the trenches of going to detox centers or hospitals or funeral homes. I lived that for 25 years. I know what works and what doesn't work. You can tell me anecdotally all you want about your reviews and your paperwork, but I've seen it. I've watched the recidivism of people relapsing all the time, going to prison, or relapsing all the time, back in treatment, or one of the both. It's my personal experience and my personal belief that there's some type of anxiety or trigger mechanism that the 12-step program isn't sufficient enough to resolve. The medications we have currently at our disposal causes so much side effects that nobody wants to take them, including myself. The audible hallucinations, the massive weight gain, the constipation, all those things I mentioned earlier, all those are horrible side effects, none of which happen with CBD. I think there's a seldom occurrence of diarrhea that could be possible, and that's because tinctures it can have MCT oil, and if you take enough oil, it just loosens up everything in your body, like if I drank coconut oil all day. But there's an assumption that because it says possible diarrhea, it's because of the cannabinoids. I would ask your viewers, and I imagine only 5% of what we talked about will end up anywhere, but because you have depression and time, educate themselves. Our bodies, there's a movie called CBD Nation that really influenced me and taught me a lot about what parents go through, what the country's going through, politicians are going through. But it allowed me to understand that my body and most mammals have this cannabinoid system of 2,000 or so receptors in my body that are built and made for this plant. My body doesn't have 2,000 receptors for broccoli. It doesn't have it for cauliflower, and it doesn't have it for celery. It has it for cannabis and cannabinoids and hemp. My body, my liver, my lab results prove that over the course of these years, my liver has gotten better. My lab results have showed these to be true. I can't promise anybody who's seen this, but I know for a fact it has impacted my life positively, physically, emotionally, and mentally. But all that said, I'm still going to people look at it and go, yeah, but that's not true, and you don't have enough proof. Legalize it. Legalize all of it. Prove it. Take it to at least legalize it to where the labs can do the lab results and the investigations that we don't allow them to do, which lets the lies continue to propagate of it won't work, it can't work, because we won't allow them to prove it'll work. Psilocybin and all that stuff they're doing in the other states, it's hilarious. They feel like they're 1,000 years ahead of where we are in Austin, Texas, which is supposed to be this little island of open-mindedness. Perhaps it is, but the rest of the state is still just pushing for free beer and drive-thrus and tequila out your ears, but stay away from the devil's lettuce. And I grew up in the Bible Belt. I'm born and raised here. I know what this is about. I grew up in the blue law era where we couldn't buy toys on Sunday. I know where I live. A little kid where we had blankets over the toy aisles in Austin, Texas. So you couldn't buy toys on a birthday party. I remember we couldn't buy toys on Sunday for my friend's birthday party because they didn't allow toys because of religion. I'm not knocking anybody's religion, but please don't let your religion get in the way of my mental health. If you believe that this is an issue for you, then practice your personal beliefs. At least stay out of mine. Like, I don't go up to people in HEB or buying cases of beer and go, you know, that's going to affect your liver. And I don't think Jesus wants you to drink that much wine. Only on Sundays at communion. I don't do that to anybody. But yet we as an industry take on that type of pressure from our community about we're going to make little drug addicts everywhere. It's unfounded. It's not real. It's all from that Nixon era political spin. And that's what we're up against as an industry, is re-educating people. What I feel is in my favor is that my generation, the ones that grew up in the 90s, have children now who are more open-minded too, are starting to go, wait a minute, this don't make sense. I smoked that stuff in high school, and I didn't end up a drug addict. I didn't end up in jail. My kids are grown now. I've got body pain. My hip don't work. I can't sleep well. And, you know, maybe I should go by and see Roger. Gosh, I remember that guy. If this is working for him, the what ifs, you know? Watch our reviews and read those and compare them to a regular coffee shop. I've never seen anything like it. I'm grateful to be a part of it. If we close down today, knowing that I was able to help anybody, that's why I did it. I worked 2 jobs, dude. Sorry, I get emotional. I've worked so hard with no money because I want people not to die from the thing that nearly kills me all the time. I hate being on camera. I have dysmorphia. I don't like photos of myself at all. But anytime somebody says, would you like an opportunity to talk to people? Yeah. Yeah. Stop voting for stuff that kills people. Stop it. Stop voting for laws that you don't understand. Stay into some other political arena. Because when your child, your parent comes to you and has cancer, like when my dad was dying, and nothing else touches that pain, you're going to wish you found this. You're going to wish this place existed. You're going to wish people had this because you're going to beg for your loved one to not suffer. Emotional pain hurts just as much as physical pain. And if you don't believe me, you're welcome to come talk to me in person. I know what that stuff feels like and just wanting it to stop. I bet everything on my life, literally, to try to help somebody. And I hope that I can get this thing growing long enough to pay myself something so I can survive. Because right now I'm living off my savings to pay my bills so my staff is okay, so this business could be okay, because somebody may need us to be open today. They may need a place to come sit down right here and go, I can't tell those people that I have depression. I can't tell them I want to kill myself. But if I drink this coffee right now and I hang out with people that accept me, I could probably be okay for a few hours and this might pass and I'll be all right today. If you never had that feeling, you can't judge me. I've worked here during the day where I just was fighting to stay alive because I know what this means to some people. Wishing that I could stop during the blizzard. Wishing I could stop when my tendons in my feet hurt so bad and I hadn't taken my own medicine because, you know, I worried people may see me smoking it outside. Carrying hundreds of pounds of ice all day back and forth, make sure all the drinks are fresh. Working from 5 o'clock in the morning again till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, 6, 7 days a week from the corporate day job plus this one. It was killing me. I had to quit my day job. I walked away from my stock options and all of my bonuses and my insurance. I have no health insurance now. None. I am so risking my life to save maybe one person that I don't even know. And it scares me so much, man, to know right now they could pass something that could hurt me or make me go into buying illegal stuff so I can just keep my sanity. I can't. I'm so worried that the police are going to kick in the door because I have hemp. Stupid. I can't wait till I live in a place to where we can actually love each other and treat each other with respect and respect each other's differences. But get out of my damn medicine. I'm working a good job. The only way I was able to function kind of work is so my tendons in my feet and my back and my Achilles tendon, all these injuries I have, I can't do without CBD. I can't do without these, you know? My why is, you know, what's important when we talked about when we opened the business. Why are we going to business? Because of what you see right now. I don't like feeling like this. I don't like knowing that people hurt and that we will prevent them from having any type of humanity. That we are allowed to take our pets to the vet and put them down when they're in pain. And that me as a grown man, legal age, with money at my disposal, am not allowed the same courtesy of giving myself just relief. I'm not putting myself down. Just let me have a break from the mental turmoil that society seems like they want me to be stuck in until I shoot myself. And then it'll just be one more statistic and one more sad story. Somebody's smart ass will pop off about how CBD didn't work. See, one more evidence. I can't get, you know, the medicines we really need, God, we're a million miles away from MDMA and psilocybin in this state, I feel like. The ones that really make big impacts on anxiety and PTSD, CBD and cannabis help treat symptoms. Those other things knock out the symptoms for days. It's not like take as needed for pain. You could take a microdose of psilocybin and have 4 or 5 days of no anxiety, no panic, just peacefulness. But this state do that? Oh no. Oh no. So I fight the fight I can fight. CBD. Delta 8, we can talk about some other time if you want, but the CBD stuff is, we at least know that right now they won't make the gummies illegal. But again, my point is this. If the gummy takes an hour to kick in, and I'm in a crisis state right now, I don't have the hour. I need an inhaler. I need something right then. And the only thing you have is close to an inhaler with CBD is a smokable product, a vape pen or a pre-roll. And they want to make illegal vape pens and pre-rolls. And if that passes, you've now taken away the quickest access to medicine for panic. And you eliminated it to some type of little health supplement that you could take every day when you get up in the morning. Great, we'll keep selling it, but you've really hurt your community. You've hurt your customers, you've hurt your voter base, you hurt whatever you want to describe them as, but you've hurt them. But with that many customers coming here in that sort of period of time, there's a demand. There's a demand for access to affordable medicines. We know that. My doctor, she says, hey, I can't prescribe what you can sell. But I have all these PTSD clients of mine that come to me with unresolved symptoms. The panic attacks, the hypervigilance, disassociation, anger, all those symptoms that come with, look very similar to straight up anxiety. And she's like, we don't have, you can look through my medical records where I diagnosed, I think 7 or 8 times with chronic post-traumatic stress disorder and acute PTSD. And she's like, look at all the things we try for you. None of those things work, and now you found something. Not only did you find something, you build a business around it. So tell me that doesn't work. You tell me a suicidal man a year ago, me, decided to sell what I had, take a risk, and say, if I'm going to die, I might as well try to help somebody on the way out. That was my thought. If I caught COVID, at least I died with a purpose. If I died trying to help people around cannabinoids, at least I died with a purpose. Instead of dying, we're opening a second location. I'm interviewing with another news outlet, and we have 100-something reviews. There's a demand for this. I hope that politicians and people of influence pay attention. We're going to fight like crazy to help every person I can. And I hope and pray that we get our foundation open that allows us to help people get help with anxiety disorder, and PTSD that's paid for through our coffee shop and the efforts that we're making in our coffee businesses. That's our end goal, is to pay for therapy through our coffee shop for people who can't afford it. in a state that allows us to use the medicines that we know that works. If this state isn't going to be that state, we'll open that foundation in a state that will.